born a slave, 1864. He was raised by a German immigrant couple, the Carvers, and he goes to college at Iowa State, gets a degree and a master's in agriculture. And his professors wanted to become the head of the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And he gets a letter from Booker T. Washington asking him to give it all up, come down to Tuskegee. Well, in the South, they grow cotton. Every year you grow cotton, it produces less because it depletes the soil. And so they were suffering. Well, he comes up with hundreds of uses for the peanut because the peanut puts nitrogen back into the soil, and they don't know what to do with the peanut. So he goes into his laboratory and comes up with all these uses, everything from peanut butter to the non-toxic pigments that crayons are made out of. It revolutionizes the entire economy of the South. He even spoke before the U.S. Congress, and the congressman, they left him outside because they didn't know who he was. Finally bring him in. They go, oh, you have 15 minutes. And he begins to pull out all the things he's made out of the peanuts. And the congressman says, how did you learn all this? He goes, from an old book. What old book? He goes, the Bible. He says, does the Bible tell about the peanuts? He said, no, it tells about the God who made the peanut. I asked him to show me what to do with the peanut, and he did.
Now, don't get me wrong. I respect George Washington Carver. I think that he advanced Black people in the minds of many people, that he has contributed to the growth of where we are today, that he is one of those pivotal people in history that has made a huge difference in the world, and especially for Black people. Someone that Black children should be able to look up to, Black men and women should be able to look up to. But there's some vital information that's missing here, and then it demonstrates the indoctrination that people have within Christianity. So the gentleman who was talking about this wasn't talking about this to uplift Black people or to uplift or to bestow the attributes, accolades on the attributes of a man who pretty much saved the economics of the South after the Civil War. No, this wasn't what his intentions was. He was doing this to show that this man had faith in this Bible, believed in the Bible, and gave all the credit to this God. Now, does he leave out the fact that those German immigrants who raised him also castrated him because they had fear that this Black man might try to essay themselves or their other children? He didn't tell you about that part concerning them being him being castrated. They left that out conveniently because these good German Christians, as he tried to make them look like they were, castrated this young boy out of their own ignorant fear. Now, George Washington Carver goes on and think about this, y'all. He gets an education. He goes to Iowa State. He gets a master's degree. He is so well informed, so imaginative, so far advanced in agriculture that his professors want him to be the Secretary of Agriculture for the United States. He's so well known and recognized for his genius that he's invited down by Booker T. Washington to help solve this issue with the sharecroppers down in the South. And when called to Congress, he does what many Christians do. The hours and hours and hours spent studying, the hours and hours spent experimenting, spent learning, observing crops, learning about plants, observing and dissecting the peanut and seeing what its attributes are and experimenting, all of that he did don't mean shit because your God did it for you. Your God inspired you. Here's the thing about that for those Bible believers, because I know some are chomping at the bit, probably already wrote a comment talking about some, that's right, God gave him the knowledge. God gave him the opportunity. Did God castrate him? Was the castration part of your God's plans? But the other part of that seems to bewilder me is the fact that if you want to prove that your God can be that, pray to your God right now. Ask him to inspire you or show you how to create something that you have no prior experience in, that you have no knowledge of. Not go and study and then learn it and then produce it. Just do it right now without experimentation, without knowledge, without studying. Do it now. You see, that's the bullshit of this statement that Carver made, that God gave him the inspiration to do that? No. What gave you the inspiration to do it were those years that you spent in Iowa State studying, those years you spent watching plants, learning about agriculture. That's what gave you the inspiration. And if that was God's plan, why does it involve genitalia mutilation? Christians ain't gonna talk about that part now, are you? Anyway, I love Black history. I love Black people. I love people, period. But if you're gonna tell the story, tell the whole story. And if you're gonna live in reality, live in actual reality. You want to get a credit to your God, fine. But don't use that as something that don't come to people like us and think that, oh, we're supposed to be accepting of it because, that's why we should accept your God, because look what he did. So what about all the amazing things that Muslims, Islamic people invented or created? What about all the things that they taught during those 700 years that they were ruling Spain? The Muslims created a whole bunch of their advanced civilizations. What about all those people who hid their alchemy, like John Dees hid his practice of alchemy because he knew the Christian church would pretty much destroy him? What about Galileo, who the church put in jail, who the church threatened his daughter because they didn't like his advancements in science? Copernicus waited till he died before he published his works. How many other things of academia and invention were stymied because of religious power, simply because it may upset the balance? Religion doesn't inspire science. Your God doesn't inspire science. Carver was not inspired by your God. He learned everything he needed to learn by observation of nature and going to school and learning about what other people had already found out about agriculture and applying those things and experimenting and trying new things. It's as simple as that. No God has anything to do with it. So the next time some doctor in China or Indonesia come up with a new form of surgery and they don't believe in your Christian God, and that form of surgery is needed by you, don't accept it. Your God didn't invent it. Your God didn't inspire it. It was inspired by, if they were from India and they were Muslim, or they were India and they practice Islam, they practice Hinduism. Are you going to accept it? That's my question. Because if you're going to sit up here and try to take credit for this man's work, even though he himself gave away the credit, because he was indoctrinated into this religion, beaten into his family through slavery. So I don't fully blame him for it, but a person of intelligence, I do blame him for it. But hey, to each his own, I guess, right? I always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.